Computer Entertainment America presents
A Universal Interactive Studios production.
Yeah. It's all very important people. Right? Everything's really important. Yeah. Okay. Let me just get into this. Okay. I'm just getting back to, I don't know, sometimes people call me Christopher, sometimes people call me Chris. I prefer, I mean, you can say Chris if you respect me. Do you get it? If you don't respect me, don't say Chris. Then probably better don't talk to me at all. Okay. I really wanted to reconnect with this game because I used to love it as a child. Yeah. I did some, I don't have bandages and stuff. So I just took I had pieces of an old shirt left. Okay, what's going on? Okay. Back to saving lives, right? I mean, I'm not just doing this for myself. I mean, I could do anything. I don't have to sit here and talk to anyone. I hope you do realize and appreciate the fact that there are content creators that take the time to do something else than what everybody else is doing. Right? Because life is hell. Sometimes. Life is hell occasionally. And I just went through some really intense stuff. And that just keeps happening to me. And it doesn't even matter how I'm trying to explain it. Because it's happening whether or not I understand it, right? You know. But trying to understand it at least gives me something to do. Because my mind simply works that way. Right? It's most people, they just smoke cannabis every day, and I say, wait a second. You know, is that what I want? I mean, is that really good? You know, if you come to the conclusion that it's actually better for you, but the way I see it, most people, and that's probably the thing with addictions, I mean, how many people, you can get addicted to computer games. I'm not playing this every day. I'm playing this occasionally when I feel like it. And so I know how to distance myself. Damn it. That's not what I wanted. But then there's people where you can't actually distance yourself from. I mean, if you really have friends, I mean real friends, for the first time in a while, and you realize that they feel the same way, that they just had no one, and you had no one, you were completely alone, then it's better to be grateful about having friends, and then appreciate each other and make sure that certain boundaries stay intact. It's one of the things that I find important. Yeah, so, right, you don't just, okay, sometimes I just drop in at people's homes, and sometimes they appreciate it and sometimes they don't. So there's the question of wow, why is this so big? Oh, it's just the beginning. There's the question of whether or not you should do this. Well, if you have friends that know you and they know you're not a psycho mass murderer, because that's what everybody seems to be afraid of, right? Everybody seems to be afraid that the other guy is going to be a mass murderer. And if he isn't, right, and if they aren't, they still might start. You know, people are insane. All you have to do is ask people something that they are afraid of, and suddenly they start looking like, you know, you're suspicious. Why am I suspicious? I mean, you're sitting here with a child. How do I know it's your child? Maybe you abducted that child. I mean, that's the line of thinking you come across in people that are swimming around in life. And what I realized is that it annoys me. I don't like people who are cowards. And that's a fact. I don't like people who are cowards, and I don't like people who just run away from responsibilities or life or nature, right? So I just stay away from them. You know, I don't have to ask you questions about your personal life. Why? Well, it's simple. Because I just take one look at you and it's already obvious, right? I mean, I can see. I mean, anyone can see whether you have your shit together. You know, that's not something you can hide. And, you know, that's the really weird part. People really think that if they stand around in some kind of weird posture, or if they just spend their day sitting at home playing computer games, you know, they can hide from what everybody is able to see anyway. And I often talk about, yeah, I don't like bombs in my ocean, do you get it? I don't like bombs, and I don't like people that just explode into my face or talk behind my back, right? I mean, I have been in so many situations, also with family, where they were just using me and then they talked about me behind my back. So the question is always, have I done the same thing? Have I done the same thing? Well, possible. Well, great. Now I might not be able... Oh yeah, I still got it. Amazing. Okay, you see, I'm trapped in the house because I hurt my ankle, or I have an injury, and I have overstepped my boundaries. And when I got back yesterday, I had to walk a lot because I felt like I needed to do posts on Instagram because things had been piling up. And I felt like, I don't know, I had to do something there, leave some energy. And I did. And then I went to the park and I met some friends. And okay, now I have to talk about what happened because I often don't know. Damn it. I often don't know what's actually happened. Okay, I've got an injury. There's a lot of pain surging through my body. You know, it's not a flesh injury, it's, you know, something you cannot really see. I mean, apart from that I roughly know what happened, how am I supposed to judge if this is good, bad, right? It's like, I just say I don't want to label it. But of course, labels are coursing through my mind because there's pain. There's, you know, something that looks like swelling. To me, you know, although I want to say, you know, it's just energy, well, I have been brought up in this weird kind of world where it's normal to cut people open if they have hip problems instead of telling them to wear different shoes or just go barefoot or do yoga, right? I mean, that's the kind of world that we live in, where you tell people, I mean, that's what we always have to understand, that this is what's being accepted in this place, right? People that get used by doctors to make money. Because nobody needs a hip replacement. What you need is to move different and to start becoming conscious. But what we also shouldn't forget is that whoever gets the hip replacement gets it voluntarily. It's their choice to have their whatever they replaced. You know, you cannot just say that doctors are evil because it's an option, it's an offer, and whether or not you take the offer is entirely your choice. And what I say is, I don't want the offer, and I don't like the offer. Of course, if I had a flesh wound, which I simply will not have, I believe, and I hope, then okay, you know, it would be pretty hard to do this myself, but I think if it's just a term of I sprained an ankle, I don't have to go to anyone. I can just see how I feel, and then I can take my time and I can work with the pain, and that's all there is to it. Now, sure, time will show whether I was right, if I was, you know, if this was the right choice. But I'm basically listening to my inner voice because there are people who try to tell me, wow, stay away from me. I mean, there are people that just want me to be that little kid that needs their advice. And sure, they can see that I have this injury, but I'm not asking for their information. And sometimes, right, I'm just breathing deeply, and then they start telling me stuff like, what's your problem? Well, what do you want to know? I mean, and right, it's mine. I'm just breathing deeply. You know, what's bad also? You know, I carry weight. And I think I should be allowed to sigh when I feel like it. And some people, you know, that's what you have to understand. How people communicate. Sometimes people don't say, you know, what's wrong. They say, what's your problem? You know? And then they give you the feeling, or you think because you're sensitive, and I'm sensitive. You know, I'm a sensitive kid. And that's all I can say to that. And some people realize this, that they just have to be a little bit more careful with me. Just as they have to be more careful with themselves. Because just because you're a klutz doesn't give you the right to be a klutz with everyone else. I mean, fine, right? Just be a klutz with yourself, damn it. My life is not going the way that I thought it would go. I'm just saying. I mean, you open up to spirituality, you think your life is going to be so much better. You know, it won't. You will have good days. Now, what happened yesterday, I went to the park, there were some friends, and at one point we smoked some cannabis with tobacco, but before that I drank 2 beer, one with lemon, like one of them like a mixed beer with lemonade. Oh wow. And then I don't know, it just kind of exploded into my face while I was close. Well, what happened, you know, you sometimes don't know. I mean, you don't know what kind of people I'm spending time with. I mean, there are people that are really lightful, and then there are people who are a bit more dark. Simply because, I don't know, whatever happened in their life, you never know. But what if these people are your best friends? And what if some people just have had a rough time, but you feel like, you know, I don't know why, but I rather, you know, I rather spend time with you than everyone else. And that's just strange because I haven't really had people that I can really play frisbee with and stuff in a long time. But I have hard days and they have hard days. And so the only thing we can do is, you know, try to get along with each other. Because, you know, if all of us like playing frisbee, then all of us have to make an effort to keep playing frisbee together without, you know, fist fighting or something. And I think we all know this, that friends aren't always friendly. And so it's always your choice, do you like that or not? So what happened, I smoked weed, and at one point I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, it's just me in the end. You know, I can say it's my friends, and then I can doubt, you know, wait, are they actually friends of mine? Well, do they force you? Or try to force you to smoke? No. You actively chose to smoke. You know, you accepted it. Because, for whatever reason, you felt like you needed it, and then you got the message. You know. But what's the message? I don't know. I think also I was dealing with things. I had severe pain in my ankle. Sure, smoking a poor joint does make sense. But maybe there are people, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to think of tobacco anymore. it's a heavy thing. Tobacco is heavy and it attracts dark energies. If you know how to use it, you can use it to channel stuff into stuff. You know, shamans do use tobacco. It's already over. Not now. So in the end, it's always your choice. That's all I can say. So I smoked and suddenly I started feeling really nauseous, and I know I'm a transformer. I mean, who isn't? But there are people who are, you know, who really transform whatever it is in their environment, who can keep a level head in situations where others cannot. And so I smoked, and suddenly I started feeling really nauseous, and I got off from the bench, and I said I just have to sit down for a moment on the grass. And I sat down, and then I kind of like went on my back, and I placed my ankle on the grass in a position that felt comfortable and cooling. And then I just lay there, and I let myself fall, and I let go, and at some point I realized, okay, I think I have to defecate. And then I went for a little stroll, and I realized I actually don't have to, I just peed. Okay, and then I went back and we started playing with a frisbee, which was interesting, because I didn't think I could, but I also made sure that I wouldn't run around. I made sure that I would stand. I made sure that I wouldn't make it much worse. And what showed me that I was playing with real friends was that they actually made sure that the frisbee was coming directly to me. And I really appreciated that, but I also made sure that my shots were coming directly at them. Wow, that was incredibly easy. It was super nice the way we played, but today I realized I cannot do this again. I mean, I need rest. And the whole day I felt sick, I felt nauseous. I mean, that's just what happens if I'm just gonna say, you cleanse yourself and then you go back. Let's say you go into nature, you go to some kind of resort, you go to some kind of, let's say you go to a whatever ceremony. There are people that go to ayahuasca ceremonies and then they feel pure and clean and good. And then you go back into society and you feel terrible. Because, I mean, you've just been through cleansing, You've just been through a whole series, like, you've been cleansed in nature. And now what's happening? Well, you're starting to soak up stuff again, which is why what you have to understand about ceremonies like ayahuasca, that you don't just do this for your personal benefit. You don't just do this because only, you feel terrible. You do it because you realize that you are at your wit's end and you need help, right? And talking won't help, right? That's sometimes, you know, depending. You know, you just realize talking won't help, and so you think, you know, let's try ayahuasca. Well, what you have to realize and learn then, that if you have had experiences like this, how can this benefit everyone? Well, sure, if you know how to help yourself, you can teach other people how to help themselves. And what a lot of people fail to see is that just because you just smoked a doobie once or did some ayahuasca doesn't mean anything's going to change for you. You have to be the change that you want to have in your life, right? Right? You have to do that. Who else would do it for you? So, I don't know what kind of visions you received, what you felt, what you saw, you know? These things communicate different with everyone. They communicate in the way that you will understand, which means that it's your experience and you will never be able to explain it to me. Which is why I don't really see a point of really explaining to people how it feels like to be in such a ceremony. I mean, you can try, but it's impossible. You know, it's just like explaining sex to someone. It's like explaining, I don't know, how does it feel like to hold a newborn child in your arms? Well, I know how it feels like. Oh, damn. I know what it feels like. It was not my child, but I still know how it feels like. And I had no real connection because it wasn't my child. And that's strange. But also liberating, because if you realize, I don't think I can ever love this child for whatever reason, well, then you can work on letting go. And that's a tough one, right? So I let go of ayahuasca ceremonies, certainly for some time. I don't have the feeling I need this ever again, right? But maybe friends need it. Then question, do I have to go with them? Well, I kind of made a, I don't know, kind of a promise that there are certain groups that I know that drink this in Germany, and I have received healing there, but I also actively worked for years with the visions that I received, which is why I know that it's not just about going there, it's about what you do with what you've been shown. And then you really have to work on yourself. And yeah, I'm not sure yet about drones, by the way. I'm not sure yet about drones. I'm not yet sure if I want to have a drone and make content with it. I think it's useless for me. I think that's like new age kind of stuff. I think drones are pretty bad. I mean, every electronic device is technically bad. Maybe I could like it, you know. But I think I'd rather have a woman with me, like, that really wants to stay, that I really want to connect with, that I could just spend, you know, I've never had that. A woman that, you know, would want to spend hours in bed with me. And I never really had sex. I slept with women, but I never... Jesus. Where is this? Where are these apples? I never really had sex. I mean, I never really connected with someone. Alright, sure, the kissing felt nice. But... okay, maybe I had once. And that's just the story of my life. But I feel like, you know, these ayahuasca ceremonies, they just didn't give me what I wanted. I mean, sitting here making art is more what I want, or recording content is more what I want than drinking ayahuasca with people in shabby apartments where nobody cleans. I mean, before you drink ayahuasca there, you should clean the damn place. I mean, you have to make this a holy place. It's not just about, you know, mixing together, I think it's chacruna and, you know, whatever else. It's about connecting with spirit. And if you connect with spirit in a dirty room, well, how much healing can you get there? And that's what people often fail to see, right? They focus more on the let's get high together than on the let's clean ourselves. Nice. And, well, I know. Right, I know how to do these things. But I also know that, right, there are people who are 10 years, technically, you know, what they would say, they're actually younger than me. But on paper, just because, whatever, they think they've been doing it longer, sure, you learn from everyone. They, you know, they've already gone to these ceremonies for years and they go there and they do their work, but they don't see how dirty the place is. And then I say to them, I say it's really dirty. And they don't seem to care. I mean, sorry, but I don't want to open myself to a bunch of people. You know, it's your choice. If you want it, go for it. I'd rather do it my own way. I'd rather do it clean. You know, the clean that I like, which is nature. Which is why I believe that, right, it's better to take psychedelics in a natural environment. You know, but in the end it's always your own choice, because for some reason when we talk about spirituality we often talk about psychedelics in relation to it, and it is one way of connecting with spirit, psychedelics is, but so is meditation and so is fasting, and you know, for whatever reason, sweet. I don't like fasting very much because I'm already, right? I'm already quite far away, and I feel like if I would fast too much And too long, you know, I just leave. And I still have some work to do, which is why I work a lot with food. I work a lot with food, right? That's just my choice. You know, I try to balance myself with food. And I feel these, you know, there's this chicken place. Damn it. Where you can get chicken. And I'm not sure if I would want to eat that. Right? It's just these chickens that have been, you know, heated, you know, that are turning on these roasts for hours. It's super crispy. And there's a part of me that actually, I just want to eat it. You know, and I don't know if that's me, but I really have the feeling that I want to eat this. And maybe I'm just picking it up from someone else. But, you know, there's a part of me that really wants to eat it. And so there's a question of whether I should do this or not. Well, if you want to do it, but when you do it, just make sure, you know, you don't sit around feeling sick. Oh, why have I done this? You know, I could have said, why did I smoke this joint? Because my feeling was telling me to smoke it. And I smoked it. Oh, damn it. You just have to crash on a, you know, and I also felt like playing a bit of Crash Bandicoot to at least have a bit of fun. And I'm watching the OC at the moment. So if you take psychedelics, you have to realize that there is homework involved. I mean, life itself has homework, but psychedelics certainly have homework. And if you want to prepare yourself for ceremonies, this is not advice. I mean, this is just, there are people that want to do this and nobody can stop them. So if you want to do it, you know, try to not masturbate and have sex at least 2 weeks or 1 month before the experience. So, you know, just try. I'm just saying, everybody's different. I sometimes tried and then I masturbated the day before. But you have to take these things serious. But you're gonna get the experience anyway. Right? You know, if it's genuine, you're gonna have an experience. I mean, even if it isn't. And then you can decide of whether you liked it or not. I mean, I cannot say I didn't like these I cannot say I never liked connecting with these people. It's just hard for me to set boundaries because I'm not a hugger. I don't like hugging. And when you meet groups and they're used to hugging each other, you know, I don't hug men. I mean, I'm not gay. I don't want to be gay. I like to maintain boundaries. Right? And when you are high on a psychedelic agent, I mean, boundaries will dissolve, which is why right, if you spend time with people you don't know, maybe don't smoke. Just first get to know them, right? See how you feel. And then wait until you think now it's time, right? It's like having sex, you know, you first want to make sure you actually want this. And if somebody tries to pressure you into smoking or into drinking or into going to an ayahuasca ceremony, you know, what do they get out of it? Right? What do they get out of it if you do this? It should be just an option, an offer that's standing in the room and you can say, I want this or I don't want this. But if somebody keeps coming at you and saying, you know, oh yeah, you know, I think you should really do this, you know, then they just use you for themselves. You know, the people I met, that's interesting. Why did the mask not work? Right? Sometimes people just want to see you fail. Or they just want to see if you can do it. And the best way to do it, right, I mean, it's just like somebody talks to you about it and you say, oh, that's interesting. You know, for some reason. Jesus. I feel interested in this. And then you say, I want to do it. Or you say, I don't want to do it. You know, I waited some time. Because ayahuasca is, in a way, you know, it takes a lot of trust. But I also came from a background of going into nature a lot and stuff. In the end, it's your choice, right? Nobody should tell you that you have to do this, but if you have an interest in this, it can bring great healing. But it could also, right? I mean, if you're really troubled, I mean, if you feel like you're really troubled, then you should first start by training your spirit and getting stronger, right? It's like preparing yourself for marriage. You don't just marry and have a kid. I mean, most people do, but they're idiots. You know, there's a conscious way of going about this where you say, you know, I got educated. I know what it's like. And I can see other people that have children. And sure, everyone thinks, you know, he can do better. Right? Everybody's like, that's what most people think, right? And then they have a child and then they just do the same mistakes. Well, I've really looked at it and you know, I'm at an age now, also in terms of experiences, where I know I can handle a lot of stuff, right? I've made a lot of experiences that aren't really normal, which is why, you know, marriage and children, you know, it's certainly doable, right? It's certainly doable. And so all I have to do is jump, you know, and let go. But I have prepared myself for it. I have prepared myself for it. And if somebody wants to do ayahuasca, all I say to them is prepare yourself. Read up on it. Do the fasting. Do not eat red meat, they say, a couple of days before, you know. Just try living vegetarian a couple of days before, you know. Reduce your coffee, like seriously. Reduce your coffee, like seriously. Reduce your coffee. Reduce your coffee. Have no sex, don't masturbate. Try. You know, if you don't want to do it, still try these things. You don't have to do ayahuasca to not drink coffee for a couple of days, but it's important that we learn how to distance ourselves from feeling the way we feel when we eat or drink basically anything. You know, that's just the best advice anyone can give you. You know, you have to know how it feels like to be free of coffee, to be free of cannabis, to be free of whatever substance you're ingesting, to be free of people that manipulate you into loving them. And that just sounds like super, I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a different way of feeling, right? And sometimes you have to put in a lot of work to get there. And just because you did ayahuasca and it helped you doesn't mean it can help other people. It just means that it can help you, but it doesn't have to help everyone. I mean, I've met people that went to the same ceremonies I went to, and while I, received healing there, all they said was, I mean, these people are just addicts. Sure, they are, but what are you getting out of this? And it's true, they were addicts, and they are. And I've tried to tell them, but they just don't want to listen. And they just don't want to let go. And there are other ways of doing this. Nobody needs to drink ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is the brew of the shaman. He drinks it to communicate with spirit, and if there's somebody who's like severely sick, he can also drink ayahuasca. But I just made that choice. I don't want to drink it anymore. I just don't want to drink it anymore. It's disgusting. I just don't want to drink it anymore. I mean, I can just make you soup, right? I can make you a lentil soup, and that could give you as much healing as any ayahuasca ceremony. But you have to cook it with love, right? So just learn how to cook. But I still have to say, whatever experiences I made during these ceremonies, I mean, they changed me, and they showed me a lot of stuff, but at some point I just said, I don't want it anymore. Which is why I'm in this peculiar position, I used to have access to these places, but I severed my ties to these places. And now if I meet people or have friends and they say, I want to do this, then all I can say, well, I can't really do anything about it. I mean, I cannot take you to these places because I stopped going there. Because I didn't like it, I rather play frisbee in the park, right? And sometimes it's that easy. But of course, if you just don't get there, if you cannot, if there's nobody, I mean, okay, you have to really work hard. Jesus. Nope. I don't have to play this all the time. And right now I am also still healing, which means I would like to relax a little. And that's a valid point. So, right, it's in the end it's always your choice. Whatever you do, it's your choice. I did my psychedelics. I don't say I don't need them at all anymore, but I certainly need way less of it. And that's all I can say to that. You can reduce it to the point of, I feel high from eating pancakes. And I can do art And sure, the way I do art has been inspired by the psychedelics that I took. And now I'm using the visions I've been given to create content and to make art. But sometimes I have such a huge lump of anger inside of me or fear that it takes me a while to, have to cut my mustache a bit. But that's all I can say. But I feel like something's coming. Something is on the way. And if you know you can transform things, and that your presence is required or important, then how long can you avoid doing this? I'm just afraid also. There are certain boundaries which I would like to maintain. I'm not sure. Let's just talk about something else.